Huples cat. So I thought today, because I have a timeline of what I want to do with pandemic or any SHTF, today was the day to go out and do some shopping, and I'll show you what I got and I'll tell you why I got it. So yep, this is the haul we got. Various bits and pieces. The stuff at the back is not for this. And we got this. So Brad from Full Spectrum Survival sends me occasionally 5 cards and instructions on them. And this one has a recipe for making your own cough syrup using natural dark chocolate, which is otherwise known as vegan chocolate. So I got quite a bit of chocolate. Now we eat this anyway. Orange and ginger, 100%, and stuff like that. So we'll probably use this as chocolate. Lots of varieties of that. But to make Brad's recipe, what we did is we got some morsel pepites, which is actually vegan chocolate nibs. That'd be a lot easier to make a chocolate drink with, and mix it in with a bit of maple syrup. And we've got a cough syrup. Now Brad also sends a newsletter, a little piece of paper with this stuff, and he recommends that you write out a timeline of events that could happen in your area and what you would do at certain points, like if this occurs my kids don't go to school, if this occurs I don't go to work, if this occurs I call in sick for 2 weeks. So I've got them for actually most of my SHTF scenarios I can think of. And right now I'm in phase 3 of 5. There's a 6th phase, which is recovery, but I'm in stage 3 of my pandemic plan, and I'm almost at phase 4. And the reason I've gone ahead and bought all this stuff today was because, as South Korea has shown, as Italy is showing, if you get 20 to 30 or 40 or 50 sudden cases in your town or your city, there's going to be absolute pandemonium will break out. And I don't personally want to have to go shopping while people are freaking out, trying to grab anything they can think of. Of course, we're vegans, so we actually buy products that are maybe a little bit different for most people, which is why I think it's somewhat semi-valuable showing this. There's a lot of carbohydrates, obviously. I got licorice because I actually like licorice and I think that has some value, and we got some crystallized ginger. You'll notice we've got different flavors of each. Don't just go and get a case of the same flavor. And we also got some of these. This would go on top of rice and be spread around. You would not be eating as much of the toppings as you normally would. I like Lara bars and I like Cliff bars, and they're vegan and they were on sale, so I grabbed them. And there's some more of the gin-gins. And the couscous is always good. Spanish pilaf is also good. So all of this stuff is stuff we will eat and use. I actually was in Shoppers Drug Mart to post mail to people, so expect mail, people who I owe mail to, which is like about 8 of you. And I got some of these because these were also on sale, and I got my advice. I'm going to have to quit that, I think. Whether we actually needed a lot of this stuff, I don't know. I have quite a bit of stuff in the house, but like I say, because we're moving, I was a bit concerned that we wouldn't have enough stuff, so I did. As you can see, what I've done is I've also bought a whole bunch of nuts. You can't really go wrong unless you're allergic to them, grabbing a whole bunch of nuts. And nuts and dates is going to make a meal for you. And we also got some pre-made these, which I really like. They are vegan, and different flavours of them as well. So that was good. Kitty said get red lentils. We have a ton of these anyway, but these make a really delicious food in a very easy way, and it doesn't take much boiling. Now we didn't get a whole whack load of tinned fruit, because mostly we don't really like tinned fruit, but we got enough, and we can use that on porridge if we don't use it for this event. And you'll notice we got the cranberries as well, cranberry sauce. That's actually kind of a decent thing to actually mix into your white rice. And we got some cheap cat food. Kitty tomorrow is going to buy some expensive food because our dogs get the best. And Becky's still got a paw boo-boo going on. Meow! It was cat. One of the commentators asked me, I'm going to reply to him, but I want to tell everybody. As of today, the 23rd of February, I'm not recommending that you stop going to work or school. I'm recommending, if you can afford to and you can avoid any long-term consequences, don't go to work, don't go to school. But that's not going to be the position most people are in, and I'm certainly not in that position, so I'm going to be careful. But I am recommending, I've recommended for some time, don't go for family dinners, don't go out to restaurants, don't go to the cinema, don't go to shopping malls. Just be a little cautious. If you're out and about in public, try and use stairwells, not elevators. be careful. Joe Primal says that carry a pencil and use the eraser end to press elevator buttons or phone buttons. That's a good idea. Just make sure that when you shove it in your back pocket, you wipe it down first. Our house is a vegan house, Greta approved, but I did get a couple of these because I want that available. If one of us is sick, I do want to be able to actually wipe down hard surfaces with some degree of assurance that any virus there is not going to go into the air and also will be killed. Of course, I also have some of this stuff. This stuff you need to wear gloves with. It's not really great for you, and I would actually advise you to actually wear gloves if you're going to handle Lysol and products like that. None of this stuff's particularly good for you, but at the moment my main thought process is I need to do some stuff. Now, all told, what we spent was $480 Canadian, which I got off my points card, so it was actually free for me, and in fact they gave me $6 back, which was nice. And I still have $500 Canadian on that points card for Loblaws, and that's good. But the shopping trip to the expensive store to get the expensive stuff did cost quite a bit of money. I believe it was 300 Canadian. So obviously most people aren't going to have that kind of cash available to spend, though I would argue that if you've been spending any amount of time prepping, you should have been saving a toonie or a $5 bill or a dollar bill if you're American, or 50 pence piece if you still have them, or a pound coin. You should have been saving stuff up over the weeks, over the months, over the years you've been prepping. And now is actually the time to actually use some of that money to actually beef up your supplies. What I don't want to do is I don't want there to be a sudden outbreak in Toronto where there's 20 cases, 50 cases, 100 cases, 500 cases, whatever number of cases. It's going to cause mass panic. Mass panic. We're seeing that clearly in South Korea and Japan and everywhere else. People won't be on the streets, people are going to go to the supermarkets, just rip everything out they can without much thought. I don't want to be around a crowd in a flu pandemic. So that's why I'm doing this. So if we're allowed out once a day or once a week or whatever, if we get locked down, we don't have to go out. So that's why we've done this, and that's why I'm recommending you do this. So like I say, keep going to school, keep going to work, just be cautious and be careful, but have it like Brad Full Spectrum Survival says, have a definite trigger event or events that would make you call in sick, or actually go to a bug out location if you have one, or go to friends or neighbours if that's your bug out location. Have an idea of what you're going to do. Don't be reactive to these events, try and be as proactive to them as you can be. Keep a sense of proportion. There's a lot of stuff online about this now being a 20% death rate. I highly doubt that. I'm going to go with what the World Health Organization says. The only thing I would say is this is clearly a pandemic. There is human-to-human spread in multiple countries that aren't directly linked to the originating infection in Wuhan. So it is a pandemic, and they're fudging it because they don't want people to panic. Now obviously, like I keep saying, the stock market has started to drop. 5.5% in Italy, 3% here. And I expected that, and I've expected that for a while anyway, unrelated to the pandemic. So I'm actually okay with that. Most of my stuff is in stuff that's not going to be bounced down too hard. And that's one of the other things you're going to see. You'll probably see overnight they'll do all they can to reassure everybody, and they'll probably try to do some reflation of the economy tomorrow. So you probably will see a rise in the stock market tomorrow. Don't be so keen on looking at figures. Figures from the stock market, figures from the caseloads, kind of irrelevant. The issue is how likely is it to cause severe issues to you in your area, and what can you reasonably do now to prevent yourself from picking up influenza from somebody else in your local area. And be sensible about this. Think seriously about shaving beards and moustaches, guys and girls, because you really want to carry the N95 and put it on if somebody comes up to you coughing and hawking. You really do. And be relaxed and try and be cheerful. So I did get some powdered Gatorade. I think this stuff's good. I've used this stuff up to 10 years afterwards, as long as it stays dry and intact. And you do want multiple flavours. I don't recommend this at all normally, but for an influenza or any condition where the person is sick and hot and doesn't want to eat and drink, this stuff's good. But like I say, do not get one flavour. Of course they're eating. But when you are actually out and about in grocery stores, look for products like this. These are broad beans in water, and these will last probably 2 to 3 years, and that's always a good source of food in an emergency, and it's not too expensive. So when you box them up, if you needed to, you can just drop one of these boxes off to somebody and there's enough food in there probably for a few days, maybe a week or so if they're careful. But like I say, the main idea is to actually supplement the supplies we've already got, and we have quite a bit. And be relaxed and try and be cheerful. Doodles! This was a Bad Terrier 2020 production.